There's a strange thing that happens when someone you love introduces you to a room full of people as just a friend. It doesn't register right away. Not in full, at least. It floats above your head like a balloon with a slow leak. You smile, you nod, you shake hands, all while something inside you begins to slide out of place, quietly, almost politely. That's what happened to me last Saturday night in a warm house smelling of rosemary chicken and slow-cooked betrayal. I met Eliza 3 years ago at a used bookstore. She was arguing with the owner about a misfiled poetry anthology, her eyes flashing with this sort of stubborn magic I didn't know I'd fall for until months later. We started talking about Yeats, then about cities we wanted to disappear into. By the end of the night, we were sitting on the curb outside a coffee shop, drinking burnt espresso from paper cups and laughing about things we hadn't told anyone else in years. I loved her like people love a second chance. And maybe that's where I went wrong. Because when someone tells you they've been hurt before, your instinct is to make yourself smaller, gentler, easier to keep. I dimmed pieces of myself without realizing it. I held back when I should have questioned more. I gave space when I should have paid attention. So there I was, at her parents' house in Connecticut, her invitation, not mine. She said they'd been asking to meet me. And for a moment, I let that sentence mean more than it did. I bought wine, the good kind she likes. Wore the navy sweater she said brings out my eyes. Even brought a little gift for her nephew, some astronaut Lego set, because she once said he loved space. The dining room was glowing with soft light, everyone already mid-laughter when we walked in. Eliza reached for my hand, then thought better of it, letting her fingers fall to her side. I try not to take it personally. Her mother hugged her tightly, smiled politely at me. Her dad nodded with the same stiff expression you give someone you assume will be temporary. Introductions moved quickly, cousins, a sister, an aunt who already had wine teeth. Then came the moment. "This is James," Eliza said, her arm brushing mine for just a second. "He's just a friend." The room moved on. No one flinched. No one paused. Except me. My ears rang a little. I think I nodded. Maybe I even smiled. I can't remember. What I do remember is the way her tone changed. Casual, dismissive, like I'd been added to a list of things she didn't have to explain. Just a friend. 2 years. 2 birthdays. Dozens of nights making soup when she was sick, holding her hand in dark movie theaters, rubbing her back through anxiety attacks. 100 texts that started with "I love you" and ended with "sleep well, baby." And now I was a friend. The kind of friend you don't sit next to at dinner. The kind who doesn't know which wine to pour first or how her mom likes her green beans. I stood there like a +1 to my own relationship, stunned into some weird emotional paralysis. She didn't look at me once during dinner. Her chair angled toward her sister. Her jokes aimed at everyone else. When someone asked how we met, she jumped in too fast. "Oh, just bumped into each other in the city. Funny story." Nothing about the bookstore. Nothing about poetry or espresso or that first snowfall we walked through hand in hand. I nodded again. Smiled too much. My stomach churned with every forkful of food I didn't taste. Then, about halfway through dessert, her phone buzzed. She picked it up too quickly. Tried to hide the smile she didn't realize was blooming on her face. It wasn't for me. I knew that smile. I'd seen it before, but never while she was trying to hide it. I excused myself and went to the guest bathroom. Locked the door. Sat on the edge of the tub. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I opened my phone. I hadn't meant to. I swear, it wasn't premeditated. But something about that, just a friend, cracked something in me. Her iPad was synced to her messages. I found that out a month ago by accident when I went to play music and saw a thread pop up. I never looked. Never snooped. Until that night. So I opened the iPad. Typed in the passcode. Her childhood dog's name, all lowercase. Her trust used to mean something to me. That night, it became a key. The texts were there. Dozens. Hundreds. A man named Theo. Not work-related. Not friendly. Flirty. Intimate. Graphic. In places I wish I could forget. She called him babe. Told him she missed him. Said I'd be gone all weekend. Said she hated pretending around me. I'll end it soon. He's too soft to fight back. My stomach dropped. But still, no rage. No tears. Just that dull, hollow ache like something finally giving way inside. I didn't storm back into dinner. Didn't shout or throw the iPad or make a scene. I just stared at that one sentence again and again until it didn't feel like it belonged to me anymore. Then I got an idea. I zipped up my jacket. walked calmly back to the dining room, sat down, looked at Eliza across the table, and I smiled, because I knew what I was going to give her as a gift. The second part picks up at dessert, where I unwrapped it. Dessert was served in delicate ramekins, something her mother called creme brulee, but tasted more like sweetened defeat. I barely touched mine. My appetite had been replaced by a tight knot in my chest, the kind that twists every time someone you love turns into someone you don't recognize. Eliza was laughing now, not loudly, but with that subtle kind of mirth reserved for private jokes. Her sister had leaned in to whisper something, and Eliza's smile curled at the corners like she was 17 again, sharing gossip in a school hallway. She hadn't looked my way since I sat back down. I let the moment simmer. I needed it to. Timing mattered. I reached under the table and gently pulled out the small black gift bag I'd tucked behind my chair when we arrived. She hadn't noticed it. No one had. "Eliza," I said calmly. The room quieted just enough for her to look up. I held the bag out toward her. "I brought something for you." Her brows lifted. Surprise? Annoyance? I couldn't tell. She glanced at the others, gave a tight smile, then reached for the bag. "You didn't have to," she said, though her voice carried the hint of caution now. "I know," I replied, "but I wanted to." She peeked inside the bag, her fingers brushing the white tissue paper. Then, slowly, she pulled out the contents, a small stack of folded papers bound together with a blue silk ribbon. "What is this?" she asked, the smile flickering for just a moment. "Something personal," I said. "You can read it now if you'd like." Her hesitation was brief. Her fingers untied the ribbon. She unfolded the first page. Silence followed. Her eyes darted left to right, the cadence of her reading speeding up like a heart beginning to race. The second page, more texts. The third, photos, screenshots, locations, timestamps. I watched her fingers twitch. Her lips parted. A soft breath escaped, but no sound came. Her mother reached over, gently touched her arm. "Eliza? What is it, sweetheart?" She didn't answer. I leaned forward slightly, my tone still soft. "You told Theo you'd end it soon. Said I was too soft to fight back. Was that tonight's plan?" Her fork clattered against the table. A cousin across from us blinked in confusion. Her sister mouthed something to her husband. The room grew dense, heavy with questions. "James," she said finally, barely audible. I didn't respond. I let her sit in the discomfort, the unraveling. Her father, a tall man with tired eyes and a voice like gravel, cleared his throat. "Eliza, what is this about?" I don't," she stammered. "Read the third page, if you're not sure," I said gently. "The one where you call me a placeholder. Where you said you couldn't believe I still believed in us." She looked up at me, panic now plain in her eyes. But I wasn't angry. I wasn't even cold. I was clear. Her sister picked up one of the pages. "Read it." Froze. "Oh my God," she whispered. That cracked it. The whispers spread like wildfire. Her cousin leaned over to peek. Her mother frowned deeper with every second. Her father's face hardened. "Eliza," he said again. This time it wasn't a question. She stood suddenly, too fast, knocking her chair backward. This is out of context. You can't just." I raised a hand, calm as ever. "No need to defend it. It's all true, isn't it? The dinners, the hotel rooms, the weekends I thought you were with friends." Her lip trembled. She looked at her family, at the room unraveling around her, and finally, at me. "What do you want from me?" she hissed, voice low. I stood, picked up my coat, slipped one hand into the pocket where I'd stashed my keys. "Nothing," I said. "Not anymore." She reached for me then, just slightly, like she was remembering too late that I was real, that I wasn't just a side character in her drama, that I could, in fact, leave. But I didn't pull away fast or storm out. I turned slowly, gave the room one last glance. Faces frozen in varying degrees of horror and disbelief. I looked at her father, then her mother. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way," I said quietly, "but I figured it was better than pretending." Then I walked out the front door, into the night that suddenly felt wider, colder, and clearer. As I stepped off the porch, I heard her voice behind me, muffled through the door. "Wait." But I didn't. Because when someone calls you just a friend in a room full of people who don't know better, maybe it's not about what you were. Maybe it's about what you finally stopped being. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I checked into a small hotel downtown. Nothing fancy, just quiet. The kind of place where no one asks why your eyes are red or why you're carrying a black gift bag with nothing left inside. I laid on the bed in my coat, shoes still on, watching the ceiling breathe with the slow rhythm of the HVAC unit. You'd think a moment like that, leaving someone in front of their family, delivering the kind of truth that shatters a room, would feel triumphant. But it didn't. It felt like standing outside your own house, watching it burn, knowing your favorite book was still inside. I loved her. That didn't vanish just because I walked away. But I think I finally stopped trying to prove I was worth staying for. The next morning, I turned off my phone. No notifications. Not because they weren't coming, because I didn't want to see them. I needed the silence. But by the third day, I turned it back on. There were messages, too many. From her sister, even one from her father. Most of Eliza's messages were the kind you expect in a moment of collapse. Long paragraphs full of excuses, half-hearted apologies, pleas for a conversation. She told me it didn't mean anything, that I was the only one who ever made her feel safe, that she didn't know why she did it. But buried between all the explanations was the truth, plain and clumsy. I didn't think you'd ever leave. That one stopped me cold. Because in her mind, love was a trap you set. And I was the fool who never saw the door closing. Her father's message was different. Short. Thoughtful. James, I'm sorry. I had no idea. You didn't deserve that. If you ever want to talk, my door is open. I didn't respond to any of them. I didn't need to. Some endings don't require a postscript. A week later, I came back to the apartment. She wasn't there, thankfully. I packed slowly, methodically, clothes, books, the framed photo of us in New Orleans that I almost left behind but didn't. I stared at it for a long time, trying to remember how that moment felt before I knew what betrayal tasted like. There was a note on the fridge from her. Not an apology, not a plea, just, I wish I had been the person you believed I was. I left it there. People ask what betrayal feels like, and I always say, it's not the knife. It's the silence that follows. It's the way familiar things lose their color. The way your own memory becomes suspect. You start questioning what was real, who you were, whether you missed something obvious or if they just got good at hiding it. I don't hate her. I want to be very clear about that. I think hating her would make it too easy. She's not a villain in a movie. She's a person. Flawed. Selfish. Scared. Maybe even sorry. But that doesn't mean I owe her another chance. Forgiveness, I'm learning, doesn't always mean going back. Sometimes it means walking away without bitterness. Without needing to see them fall apart. Just letting the story end. It's been a few months now. I've moved. New place, new routines. I still catch myself wondering sometimes how long it would have lasted if I hadn't brought that gift bag. If I'd just smiled through it, let the lie live a little longer. But I'm glad I didn't. Because that night, I gave myself a different kind of gift. Not revenge. Not closure. Just truth. Unwrapped, unedited, undeniable. And when someone shows you who they are in front of a room full of people, believe them. Even if they're laughing. Even if they're beautiful. Even if you still love them. Especially then. Because love doesn't mean staying quiet. Sometimes it means setting the record straight. Even if your voice shakes while you do it. And walking out with your head held high. Even if your heart is in pieces.